Hello there. I'd like to welcome the audience members Alex and Michael, as well as those of you who will be watching from the computer to the speech tonight. Have you ever heard of that one ball stick sport? You know, the one that's kind of like hockey, kind of like soccer and football all rolled in together? It's called lacrosse. And fun fact, it's the oldest sport that we know in the Americas. I'll be talking to you about lacrosse tonight because I've lived and breathed the sport for the last 8 years. Considering the fact that I'm only 18, that's almost half of my life. I think that's credible enough to make me a good source. There's 3 main topics that I want to get across to you all tonight. The first being the history and origin of Iroquois-style lacrosse. Secondly, the differences in play style between Iroquois lacrosse and modern lacrosse. And third, I want to talk about the growth that the sport has had not only nationally, but globally. So to get into it and reiterate, lacrosse is the oldest sport known in Americas. In fact, it's so old that we don't even know a date that it was created. All we know is that it was around before European exploration, which was a long time ago. We also know that the lacrosse as a sport originated with the Iroquois tribes in modern day New York or the eastern woodlands of the Appalachian Mountains. 2 interesting facts about the traditions of lacrosse pertain to how spiritually driven the Iroquois tribes were. They played the lacrosse game solely to entertain the gods. We'll get into a little bit of that later. But what this meant was the team that lost each lacrosse game was sacrificed. Crazy. That puts a new perspective on competition, huh? You don't see NFL teams losing and getting executed. Pretty interesting. Now we'll talk about a little bit of the European involvement with the sport. Europeans came over right around the 1600s, and they were all fascinated with the sport when they were able to see it. For example, the French missionary by the name of Jean de Brebeuf in the 1630s saw the Iroquois tribesmen running around with the sticks and coined the term lacrosse. He called the sticks la croix, which translates directly in French to the cross, and that's how the name was taken. Now we'll talk about a little bit of the differences in play style between Iroquois-style lacrosse and modern-day lacrosse. To start, the Iroquois played without any sort of nice padding, like gloves or helmets, so it probably hurt a little bit more when they got hit. Furthermore, their sticks were wooden, the balls that they threw around were leather, and then the objective was to shoot the ball into a wooden hole right about this size that was mounted to a tree. So it takes a lot of skill to do that. Whereas today, we have products of industry. So metal shaft, plastic head on the stick, rubber ball, and our objective is to shoot the lacrosse ball into a 6 foot by 6 foot cage or goal. Sort of think like a hockey or soccer type of vibe. But even bigger than the actual logistics of the play was the purpose. The Iroquois, like I said earlier, played specifically to honor their gods and entertain them. This was in hopes that they were able to kind of quid pro quo it. We entertain you gods, please give us a good harvest next fall, or treat us with good weather. That sort of vibe. Which is all really interesting considering the fact that now the sport is played to entertain either the players or the spectators as a whole. Minus the changes in people don't die anymore when they lose, that probably contributed to the growth. So we'll talk about a little bit of the growth now. Nationally, we've seen since right around 2000, lacrosse has been the fastest growing sport, both nationally and globally. You've seen a rise in youth lacrosse teams, high school lacrosse teams, college has been adapting lacrosse, and then 2 national lacrosse leagues. Pretty interesting stuff. And then globally, you've seen a massive increase as well. For example, do you know what Canada's national sport is? Most would say hockey, right? Canada and hockey are kind of really closely associated, but it's actually lacrosse. Furthermore, every year the World Lacrosse Organization holds a World Lacrosse Cup. This is possible because there are various teams internationally that all come to compete for the World Lacrosse Cup. And fun fact about that was the 2018 World Cup was held in Denver, Colorado. So not too far away. I bet you guys didn't know that was going on. That sums up everything I wanted to get across to all of you tonight. So I'll take any questions in the discussion board below. Obviously, because can't answer them right now, right? So to conclude, we talked about the tradition of Iroquois lacrosse, how it originated, and the names that came from it. Secondly, we talked about the changes in the sport from old Iroquois style to present day. Biggest thing you'll probably remember is people don't die anymore, which is pretty significant. And third, we talked about the massive growth that lacrosse has experienced, both on the national and international level. With that all being said, I can personally attest to the fact that lacrosse is a safe sport to play. There's no chance of you getting executed if you lose or watch. Nothing's going to happen. So with that all being said, I challenge all of you guys to go get involved in the sport somehow. Whether it's watching a lacrosse game on YouTube, seeing a friend play it, seeing a friend's kid play it, I'd like you all to go out and experience it because it has brought me a lot of joy in life. Thank you all for your time. Have a good one.